I know we have a lot to talk about on the cycling front, but you did a lot. You saw a lot. You had, I'm sure, the odd crash. Did you ever
Seen there, been there, got the T-shirt.
Yeah. Did you ever hit an animal?
I didn't, but my sister did. Racing in a tour in France, she hit a cat.
Oh.
And
was it a black cat?
No, I don't think so. But I, from my recollection, she didn't really have the time to notice what colour it was. But she ended up worse off than the cat. She commando rolled across the road. And I might also add she was in a winning breakaway. It lost her the tour. And she lost skin off every single side of her body.
Oh, my
commando
goodness.
rolling across. And I remember it so clearly because it meant she then, on kind of recovery mode, flew to Athens to watch my Junior Worlds.
That is sibling loyalty right there.
It is. So there's some very funny photos of my dad and my sister running through the original Olympic Stadium, but Nat looks like a bandaged bear because it was 40 degrees, but every limb is covered in bandages.
Wow.
Yeah.
And she got there.
I don't know about the cat.
We're coming, Kate. We're coming right meow. Sorry.
There is no room for animals on bicycle races.
I hit a
quack.
duck. Yeah.
So we're being pulled into line.
Good hello-ness to everyone who's tuning in, listening, watching, subscribing. The Wheelhouse Podcast is coming to you live from Italy. We've travelled across the beautiful country. We're in Milan today, and isn't it gorgeous? We've seen some truly horrendous weather in the Giro thus far. Happy to say that it's starting to clear up a little bit here. We have a little bit of cloud cover, as you can see. I feel like I need a pointer.
Yeah, yes, like a weather pointer.
A little bit of cloud, but also a little bit of blue sky, and hopefully that bodes well for the next stages, because we have seen some chaos, Caterina Bartes. Would you not agree?
The Amalfi Coast is known for its beautiful weather and wonderful coastline for the tourists. This was not a good advertisement for tourists the last few days, to the point where Geraint Thomas actually said, since when was the Giro run in Wales?
Oh, that's
so grim.
Wow, what a gut punch from Thomas.
Yes, what a gut punch. Alas, the adventures around Italy continue to enthrall and excite. It's such a beautiful race. As
you say, very taxing on the body to sit up and watch it, but you can't really peel yourself away. It's been really interesting.
We're exhausted.
Aussies are absolutely defining the Giro in good ways and bad. We'll get into that a little bit later on. I've got a couple of questions around our pizza box favourites. On the last episode, we wrote some names down, and all of them have been in on thereabouts on both sides of it. We're going to get into a lot of Giro chat because we are here in Italy, and it's lovely to bring you along for the ride. Let's just take a minute to
soak in the atmosphere. I'm soaking in the coffee beans.
I'm smelling red wine. My hand. I'm smelling beautiful red wine.
Differing approaches from the Spreadbouge and the Bartes.
Giuseppe Spreadbouge, not impartial to a glass of claret.
I actually miss being called Caterina Bartes. That's what all the Italian commentators used to call me.
Well, it's back now.
And I think, let's bring it back.
Let's bring it back.
Bring back the Bartes.
Let's quickly jump on the Gulf Stream. I want to go and first, because there's been some extraordinary, there were some extraordinary scenes in the women's Vuelta. It's wrapped up now. Longest edition ever, 7 stages. 7 riders per team. I'm curious about, there's a lot of 7 symmetry here. Can you talk me through some of the 7s here? Like, why 7 riders, firstly?
I need to look into whether there's any kind of superstition around 7. Historically, the women's teams have only had 6 riders, even in Grand Tours. And you can imagine that compared to the men's teams of 8, it leaves a lot fewer options, especially on long stages. You can't sacrifice a lot of riders. You don't have a lot of riders to sacrifice. And it's quite a material change to improve to 7, but it also, far broader than that, gives a great development pathway, because now there's a lot more opportunities for the ladies.
Okay.
So I love it.
You're a fan?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, what I would like is across the board parity. I'd love there to be 8 in the same way as men. Okay. And same peloton size.
Can you see a future where that happens?
I definitely can. Yeah.
What does it do for you as a rider? Like, if you're going with 6 and then all of a sudden you're going in with 7, you're like, okay, all right, you know what? I'm feeling a bit better about my prospects.
Oh, you
here.
do. I mean, you've got to, going into any Grand Tour, and certainly this will come up when we're chatting Giro, you have to account for the fact that you will lose members of your team to misadventure, potentially to illness, and so on and so forth. The more riders you have, the safer and calmer you can feel about having a strong team around you at the finish. Yeah. And also, I think for the riders who are the domestiques and doing the work, it's pretty intimidating when your job is to sit on the front. And often, Joel, the instruction will be sit on the front and hold the pace until you can't anymore. So that's not even a defined distance. And they are hard, long days. And mentally, they're intimidating. And when you're sitting in the team meeting and that's your instruction, you pretty much want to hide under the doona and hope they don't find you the next morning. But with an extra rider, sharing the workload, more people to get bottles, more people to support. Yeah. You can then consider taking 2 riders for a split, like 2 leaders for a split approach in the way that the men's teams do. Okay. It materially changes the strategy.
I love that very much.
It's a very positive thing.
As much as things change, they do stay the same in a certain respect. And I'd like to just say it's not on the pizza box because it's not the Giro. I don't know if we made record of it, but I just have a perpetual tip. And I think I've made this clear, that Annemiek van Vleuten, whenever she gets on the bike, I'm just going to say she's going to win. I'm just going to claim that.
I think that's a safe bet.
The crystal ball has done the work once again. An imperious display from my favourite member of the Dutch Trident again. Your thoughts on AVV's domination?
Well, she's done it again. So she's won the Vuelta. Now this year it's the first of the Grand Tours. It's been moved now to May. Last year it was 2 weeks before the World Championships. So last time she's essentially won 2 Vueltas in 8 months, which is pretty cool.
As you do.
But I think this one was different because she only won by 9 seconds. And for many years, we've just seen this incredible dominance of Van Vleuten. And the question has been asked, why is she so much better? Like, what's going on? And people have asked curly questions about it, and they've put some suspicion over her head, which is entirely unfair and unjustified. But that's what happens when you get somebody so dominant. But the peloton has really risen around her, and now she's having to, every single second counts. And she's fighting so hard, and we're just seeing her rise another level again. It's fantastic. And we're also getting better reactions at the end because it's not, I guess to a degree, it's not as easy. It's not as dominant. She's not coming into the finish with a 3-minute lead knowing she'll win.
Reading with broken bones and whatnot. I wanted to ask about 9 seconds is tight.
It is.
So you're dominant, but you're still being kept in check to an extent.
Yeah.
So she knows she needs to just, as good as I am and as much as my CV is actually ridiculous, I need to keep working.
Absolutely. I mean, she's the only athlete, male or female, to win 3 essential Grand Tours in a year. So we've had 7 men do it over the course of their career. Froome is the most modern one, but nobody do it in 1 year like she has. She'll certainly be looking to do it again this year in her final year of racing. The sport will miss her a lot, but I am very glad that we are seeing almost this crossover of generations where she's having to hustle so hard. I mean, the final stage, stage 7, Merxie and I sat up watching it, and it was nail-biting. Like, you did not know who was... because Demi Vollering was going for the stage win and trying to usurp her for the overall, but... you know, we were watching the gap and the virtual leader, and it was right down to the line. And it was also a little bit funny. It was super heavy fog.
Okay, yeah.
And so the finish line camera, you couldn't see how close she was. And you were like, this is so close. We don't know if she's about to break through the fog or where she is. So it almost really built the anticipation even more.
How movie-like.
It was a thriller.
How movie-like.
It was.
Coming out of the mist.
I don't know if they had some film crews on it.
Yeah.
They often are doing a lot of that kind of documentary stuff now. It was the best tour.
There's your trailer shot. There's your trailer shot. And it's great for the women's sport
and she emerges out of the fog.
Yeah.
Oh, it was brilliant.
Yeah. From the mist they come.
Well done, Hollywood.
Well done, Hollywood, for doing absolutely nothing but probably stealing it. As usual, well done for jumping on a good idea that's not yours. That's fantastic. And hey, look, I love AVV. And you know what? If it all doesn't pan out for her, it already has panned out, but she's got a little bit of a break now. Obviously, Women's Giro and the Femme coming up a little bit later, July, August. If everything was to fall over, she's got a ready-made career, a backup career as an epidemiologist. And I just find that quite remarkable. What level of has she got? Is it like a master's?
Master's. She's got a master's.
She's got a master's in epidemiology.
She is a very, very smart cookie. And I don't know what her plans are post-career. She hasn't really articulated what she'd like to do. I suggest, though, that she will not be sitting in a team car. I can't imagine her going into a director's role.
Oh, really? Okay, I'm interested in that.
No,
so
not
one of those
because she's not
athletes
capable, but I just think that she's such a determined person with so many big goals in life.
Right.
And I think we'll probably see her being a significant game changer in the science world.
I'm such a big fan. And speaking of big goals, do you like our balcony? Because Merksy got up early. He camped overnight, actually, to reserve this beautiful balcony in Milan.
So beautiful.
Buongiorno. Do you roll your R's?
Yes. Prego.
Is that rude?
I do prego. Well,
prego.
Merksy and I had a beautiful...
See that? Yeah, that's why
we got into the spirit of the Giro last night.
Yeah.
Had a beautiful meal at 1889 Enoteca, so shout out to them. And we looked at the wine menu and made sure we chose a beautiful wine from the Campania region, which is down the bottom where they've been.
Yep.
It's quite fun to eat along with the Giro.
That was the wine you were supposed to buy for today, and then you drank it all, so you had to run out this morning and grab another bottle.
Carb loading...
Yeah.
We may need to buy new pants by the end of the Giro, but...
I want to throw a few numbers at you on the Wheelhouse podcast, coming to you live from the beautiful city of Milan in Italy amid the Giro. We'll get to the Giro, but I want to throw a couple of numbers at you. 4'11", 40 kilograms, 150 centimetres, yet an absolute powerhouse in the women's peloton.
I thought for a moment you were talking about me when I was 10.
I thought for a moment I was talking about like a third of me. No, I'm not. I'm talking about Gaia Rolini. She's 21 years old. A bit of cyclocross behind her is captivating the women's sport. I just want to get your take on this. Are we seeing the rise of the next? I'll say the next big thing, but not literally. Obviously, the next slightly framed, big deal.
She is, from my knowledge, the slightest frame I've ever seen in the sport. We've had some pretty slight framed climbers before, but even in terms of height. And I think I've mentioned this before, but there was a fun fact created at my first Olympics that I was the tallest and heaviest cyclist there. And I'm 176 centimetres, and my race weight then with very little body fat was 72 kilos. So nearly double and I was very fit, right?
Yeah.
And so the range of athletes, and I would be doing races like this, so the range of sizes between these athletes is phenomenal. And she is very slight, even in the bunch, but she's a very pure climber. And I think that what puts her even above, it's power to weight on climbs, and she's so slight and with a lot of power for that weight that she can climb well. But what puts her a level above is her attitude and the way that she faces it. And I want to read out a quote from her because this is one of the best. So she got asked, you've had such a phenomenal standout season. Do you consider yourself one of the team leaders? And this is an athlete who's just won a stage of the Vuelta, who was third in Flèche Wallonne. So massive, right? Yeah. If she retired now, she'd have a better CV than a lot of people. And she says, in a team with Alyssa Longo-Borghini, Lizzie Dagnan, Shirin van Anrooy, Lucinda Brand and Amanda Spratt, claiming to have the role of leader would be far too arrogant.
Okay.
Frankly, I don't even feel I want a leadership role. I still feel too inexperienced in that. I feel I am still in the apprenticeship stage. I really want to do my best for the good of the team. Whatever Ina wants me to do, I'm available.
Okay, that's fantastic. So there's a groundedness at play here.
What I love about that is that it's unassuming. So they've given her a leadership role and they're supporting her, but she's not. There's no arrogance in it, and there's no expectation.
Yeah.
And I think that it's fair to say that amongst the peloton, Joel, there is a little bit of arrogance.
What would make you say that?
Yes, SD Worx.
I love that you've brought them up. That's a really convenient segue, and we love them here because for all the glory of Annemiek, and once again, I wish I had written it down, but anyway, for all the glory of Annemiek, the rise of Gaia Relini, the women's Vuelta was not without a stream of controversy, controversy flowing freely.
That's very punny.
You might say. They were pissing about. Okay, I'll stop. Can we just weave through this for a second? What's talk to me about P-Gate, because other than being a very funny title, it put a little bit of a stain on the. Okay, I'm going to stop.
Stop it.
What do you think?
All right. So what happened was on stage 6, they were going into a stage with some climbs on the back end, but at the beginning, it was quite well known that there was quite a few twists and turns and significant wind. And a lot of the teams were looking at this as an opportunity to form some echelons to reduce the size of the bunch. At the 30k mark, 106k stage, that's relevant, 30 kilometres in, SD Worx decide to take an en masse P break with 6 riders. Marlon Russa was up the front, but the rest of them, including Demi Vollering, who was wearing the red jersey, decided to take a nature break.
Okay.
Firstly, 30k in, really? Were there no Portaloos in town? Like, what, are they overhydrating? Seems a bit odd to me.
Okay.
But beyond that, then the bunch hit the windy sections and did what bunches do in windy sections, which is to drive pace and to try and reduce the bunch.
Yeah.
So the timing of it, very, very curious, and you have to wonder if they were trying to manipulate the race somewhat and ensure that they neutralise the bunch a bit. But look, I'm not an expert, Joel, but we did get an expert voice. We called on Spratty Blue Shoes. Yeah, so let's hear what she had to say on the P-Gate issue.
Yeah, I think for us it was crazy windy from the start, and it just had echelon written all over it. Honestly, I thought this is not a moment where you're going to stop for a pee, like even if you want to. And we knew, we were asking our director, you need to tell us when there's a change in direction, because we think it's going to be echelons. And we had the same sort of intel as Movistar, that at 31 you turn right, there's 4 or 5k section of open roads, and it was very clear for me anyway that Movistar had that plan from the start to put it in the gutter. So I think, they went for it, and afterwards we could also join after some kilometres. So I think, honestly, that's racing, and I think not a great moment to stop. And Movistar, for me, they had the plan before the race.
I think that's pretty clear.
I love the way she talks. I love the way she phrases it.
I do. And we'll unpack that in a second, but I just want to let you know that since we've got a European correspondent on hand, and thank you, Niels, and also to Kathy Peel from Chicks Who Ride Bikes, who helped me with that connection.
Love you guys.
But we made sure that Niels asked the really hard questions to Spratty.
Look, my mum's petition for the blue shoes, it's still out there, still requiring a few more signatures to get to that point, but it's a work in progress.
Give the people what they want, Spratty.
Signature. I'm adding my signature. If you can add yours, we'll get the
100%.
crowd.
Forge me if I'm not there. Do what you got to do to get the blue shoes back.
Yeah, the blue shoes may be coming back. But great to hear from Spratty, and really interesting. I thought that of all the controversy going on, from essentially the capped peloton, everybody weighing in on their opinion.
Yeah.
She put it pretty clearly.
Everybody weeing in. This whole thing with SD Worx, I'm interested, because we've been speaking about this all year across classics and everything, of this wall, these tactics, these sort of block out kind of tactics. Is this an extension of this at a Grand Tour level that we're starting to go, come on guys, let's have a serious think about the way we're going about it?
I guess there's one of two options here. Either they colossally stuffed it up, and the wind and the maps that everybody else saw, Spratty said that Trek saw it, Movistar, it was clear that they were going to do that. A friend of mine, an ex-teammate who is the team director at Jumbo-Visma Women.
Oh, you have so many connections, Kate Bates.
Oh, yes, the fingers in every pie. She said that it was just pure arrogance.
Wow.
I won't name her, but she said that everybody knew that there would be echelons. So how did they miss that, right?
Oof.
And if they didn't miss it, and we assume that they're smart, so we
Yeah.
assume they didn't miss it, why did they stop there? Like, because etiquette says that if the leader, which Demi Vollering was, gets a mechanical or has a flat, then there's a little bit easier. But this wasn't that case.
Okay.
They chose to stop.
The en masse wee-wees.
Yes.
Causing...
A little bit of arrogance from SD Worx.
Oh, there you go. Boom on the Wheelhouse podcast. We've been questioning them for some time, and I love that we've rounded it out with that because I agree.
Yeah.
Look, when you got to go, you got to go, but there's...
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, no rojo for Demi on this occasion. Demi Lishan is replaced by Van Vleuten-tacular-ism. So that's good to know. Let's now get back on the Gulf Stream and head back to where we are in Milan to talk about the Giro, because it's been a really... there we go. Buongiorno! I'm rolling my R's again. I'm sorry if that's not the correct thing to do. You didn't like the TT, you don't love them, but Remco got out of the blocks beautifully there. His fortunes... I was interested, actually. I want to talk to you about this. So, sitting back in the pack, and I want to talk quickly, randomly, about stage 4, because we saw a really big break lead that didn't get reined in at all. And he was there in the bunch and sort of just sitting back, sitting pretty, looking a little bit chilly, to be completely honest. What was going on there? Is there a point where you go, oh, shit, they've just got too far away? Well, let's just not bother.
It has not been beautiful on the Amalfi Coast. Now, good question, Joel, because so far, the Giro, and we've got 21 days, so there's going to be a lot more drama happen.
Yeah.
But this is so many, like your heart rate is through the roof watching it. I think blood pressure amongst any fans of Remco would be going through the roof. The mixed fortunes already are mind-blowing. And he started so well, and he had the pink jersey. But curiously, he then came out and said, I'm going to give the jersey away on stage 4. We're not going to chase a break. We're going to let a break go, and we'll let it go far enough that I don't have the pink jersey anymore. I don't know what to think about that. I think, I'm a Remco fan, but I think that there's a huge gravitas and an honour in wearing the Maglia Rossa. And I think if that's your plan, everybody knows it. Like, then he's not racing against kindergarten teams.
Yeah, not tiddlywinks.
No, and if a break is let to go, everybody knows that Remco's letting the jersey go. I don't think it gives the right honour to the jersey to publicly say, I'm going to let it go. Like, it means nothing to him.
I'm interested. I was really interested to hear your take on this, because I hear it a lot in the commentary of the stages, like, passing the Maglia Rosa around and stuff. Well, I don't know about that. I like a dominant champion. And then, of course, in stage 5, controversy strikes. Remco absolutely barreled out by a stray dog, which was just absolute scenes. Is that when you start going, oh, shit, my whole thing with the pink jersey and not wanting it? Oh, crap,
well, I mean, I think there's so much complexity. He says he doesn't want the jersey, but then a break goes and turns out that Soudal don't love the composition of that break. And they burn some serious matches, and they lose Ballerini and Cherney, who end up, PS, Ballerini was last on the road that day. 26 minutes and 17 seconds down. That is a long day on his own. And he got dropped in the first 20K.
Yeah.
Same with Cherney, because trying to reel in the break that they said could go, but it wasn't the right composition, right? Like, it's just a bit insane. So they're burning matches.
Yeah.
And people are saying, oh, well, it's early days though. Like, let's not say that the team's not that strong. But the result was that at the end of stage 4, Remco finished with no teammates in the bunch. Ineos, they had 3 or 4 riders. Jumbo had a number. EF, Bahrain, like all of these teams, UAE, had multiple riders there. Remco was on his own.
Remco solo.
So he loses the pink jersey.
Yeah. And
we catapult to the next stage. And all of a sudden, he falls off twice, including hitting a dog.
Ugh.
Seriously.
A stray dog.
And then, very luckily, his second crash was just within the last 3 kilometres, like as in metres within the last 3
Yeah.
kilometres, so he didn't lose time. But 100 metres earlier, he would have lost GC time, and he's just given away all of this GC time. I just think that you should value every second you have. And he wanted to give it away because there's a lot of, between the podium presentations and the doping control, a lot of rigmarole around having a jersey on.
Yeah.
Like, it's exhausting. I get that. But at the same time, we're in these races where anything can happen. Anything does happen.
It does indeed.
And like, I think the commentator, I don't know what kind of dog it was that he hit about 30k in, but the commentator, a very British commentator, Rob Hatch, said, I think that might be a corgi.
Oh, wow. I don't... Okay.
And
all
I
right.
thought, I hope Sarah Ferguson isn't standing on the side of the road with the Queen's corgis having a view. Oh,
Oh, dear me.
that'd be a bit of controversy.
Remco's, I guess, expectations of himself and the team and the tour are made evident in footwear once again, because we've got pink shoes. Has he missed a trick? That level, it's like, I'm wearing pink shoes, wink, wink. It's putting a bit more pressure on himself as well, I think.
I thought that was funny. So they're from a brand called Safety Jogger.
Yeah.
And I only know this because I put it to the Twitterverse. I was like, at what point did Remco order himself a pair of pink shoes?
Yes.
Like, was that recent when he was feeling good in training? Was that when the route was announced and he decided to ride it?
Yeah.
Like, how confident is he? But apparently Safety Jogger is a sponsor of the team and they provided them.
Oh, okay. That's great.
So-
That's fantastic.
So that changes the conversation about whether it's an arrogance or a confidence thing. I think it's just the sponsor.
That's good to clarify.
Yes.
Clarify. And we love giving you a peek behind the curtain on the Wheelhouse podcast. I'm going to do it really quickly now. We've had a little bit of a spill. Are you okay? You've spilt a little bit of espresso.
I just spilt my coffee.
Happy to
and-
say, Merksy, it hasn't got on any of the gear. She did an expert job of human shielding it.
Oh, and happy to say that it's not hot.
That's good to know.
Yes.
Merksy.
As long as you're not spilling the red wine.
No. And I will also dob myself in and say I'm a serial coffee spiller because I gesticulate so wildly when I talk.
You're
I
such
use
a
my
pro,
hands
honestly.
so much that things often go flying.
This happened 5 minutes ago, and you were such a pro. No, you just went, anyway, and yes, Remco, blah. It was a really good moment. I just wanted to share it with you.
Thank you. Well, my pants are very coffee stained.
We're going to talk about the Aussies and the imprint that we've seen on it very soon. But I just quickly, like this, we spoke about stage 4, sitting back in the bunch, pink shoes, bit of confusion. I was watching stage 5, and my goodness, I've never seen a sport where more athletes, more competitors looked miserable and did not want to be there. We'll say quickly, Remco stole my look from our last episode with the open jacket. I had the open Parramatta jersey. Thanks,
did,
Remco.
yeah.
You saw it here first. But I honestly, that breakaway, the break was closing and the break was looking reluctant down some of those descents, coming into the last sort of 60, 70 Ks of that ride when they got over that, I think it was the third last climb they had to do. And it just looked like I don't want to. I don't want to have a tumble. And lo and behold, it didn't matter when we got to the finish line. We'll get to that in a sec. But oppressive conditions.
It has been, pretty poor weather conditions, made a lot worse by this part of Italy. In the southern part, they don't have a lot of rainfall, and so when it does rain, it's often a bit like a skating rink, very slippery, and white lines, absolute hazard. And you will notice if you do watch any of the coverage, be it the whole stage or highlights, pay attention to how much new tarmac there is. So a lot of these regions that they visit are roads that are not often used, and so they do often lay a new surface with new lines. The problem with a new surface and new lines, and then a little bit of road usage and road oil, a little bit of rain, it's literally like a skating rink.
Yeah.
And you hit, and I used to be terrified after a couple of nasty crashes in racing and training. I was terrified of white lines, and I actually still am. Like if I even in dry conditions, I very rarely go anywhere near markings on the road.
Wow. Okay.
And the riders know it, but when you're in that race condition, it's a grand tour, what is on the line, how much is it worth it? And your fortune is often in other people's hands. So you can do everything right, But if somebody in front of you comes down, it's like Skittles. Everybody then drops.
I was interested in that because the bunch, they seem to tackle a few of those drops with a little bit more swagger, a little bit more confidence.
Well,
if there's anywhere to be scared, it's when you're a millimetre away from every other rider, surely.
It is, but if you are riding either in a breakaway or in the bunch around people with good skills and who are confident, you can relax a bit more because that's, they're professionals. They know how to read the road conditions. And if they've got good skills, it's a good wheel to sit on. And also a bit of a different story now that they have disc brakes because they are so responsive and do stop really well. But double-edged sword because a lot of the time they're not actually falling because they can't stop in time. They're falling because they're losing back or front wheels.
Yes, okay.
Which can happen more often with disc brakes when you are able to stop a little bit quicker, but then the road's just so slippery that you've got no chance.
We'll get into some carnage. I want to just... we're not really all sad here, so let's do some quirk because there's been some...
Oh, yes.
I love the quirk of every Grand Tour, but the Giro
So do I.
really, really tagging into this one and seeing Italy do what it does for this is fascinating.
Yes.
But before we get into it, smell the beautiful air.
Smell the beautiful coffee.
Have we got coins for the busker today? Because I'm really awkward. Every time we walk past, it's like, they're playing this beautiful
Surely
music.
Merckx is on it.
Bellissimo! I don't know. Hello.
Ciao, arrivederci.
I just want to quickly, we spoke about the women's Vuelta and P-Gate. I have noticed, again, I'm not trying to be punny here, but a non-stop stream of riders going for wheeze.
Yes.
I know it's a long time in the saddle. I get it. It's
if you're playing commentator bingo, then the number of nature breaks that have been mentioned,
Kate,
I would say it's unusually high.
Been a dead set piss fest.
I know. I mean, to the point where in watching the other day, I said to Merckx, like, are there no toilets at the start? In the same way I said about the Vuelta. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And I think maybe some of it's nerves.
I loved it.
I don't know.
In
It's
stage
full on.
5, it was a point. It's like Remco pulling over for a nature break, and then like the 12 people behind him all was like, "Yeah, Remco's doing so. It's okay for us to go as well."
And that is a good sign. But I mean, Geraint Thomas actually got fined.
Yeah.
He got fined for taking a public urinating in public.
Rules are rules.
Rules are
Rules are
rules.
rules. We need to find out. We've got our people on the ground over there.
Well,
maybe we can get a grab from...
At the Commonwealth Games last year on the course, they actually had a big section of portaloos. I said, what on earth are they? But they were in Glasgow. You cannot...
Don't pee in public.
Birmingham, sorry. You cannot pee in public.
No.
And the riders, they were told, if you need to pee, you must use the portaloos. You cannot stop on the side of the road.
I love that we're
I've never
potty training
seen that
these
before.
professional
I know,
athletes.
it's quite funny though. But Birmingham, well, they got it right. But I don't imagine that that's a really practical solution here. But, as long as Geraint Thomas is happy to continue paying...
Do we know what the fine was?
I don't know how much it was.
I'd love to find out.
I'm thinking 150 Swiss francs or something.
Do you reckon there'd be a little bit of, how very dare you, I'm
How
riding in
very
the Giro?
dare you, yes. Well, and...
Merckx.
I think it was a wee amount.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry.
I love how Merckx contributes to the flow of this show. It's fantastic.
You pair.
Too many wines.
Stop it.
Too many red wines.
Too many wines.
Look, the nature breaks are fascinating. We've spoken a bit about Ben Healy. I want to quickly touch on this. I love this guy. And we spoke about him threatening to bite people's hands off if they gave him praise. That's fine. I love his respect for his equipment. Now, he was caught, the SBS team spoke about it as well. Mid-ride, doing okay. Probably clipping along at 50 or so Ks at least. Sanitising his handlebars. He had I don't know where he had some wipes somewhere. Maybe up, I don't know. He had some wipes and
it was clean.
he was cleaning his handlebars.
It's because when you are eating all the gels and whatnot out of your pocket, you get sticky hands, sticky bars. It's not a nice situation.
So it wasn't like it's just a speck of dust. I can't stand it.
I don't think it was an indicator of OCD or
Out
something
damn
like
spot.
that.
Right.
No, he's a very exciting rider. I do
He
like
sure
him.
is.
I do.
Where did he get the wipe from, though?
Yeah, well, look, perhaps this has been a problem in the past.
Were you a
where
handlebar
he's
wiper?
had gel explosions.
Gel explosions.
I was not a handlebar wiper. No. I think, have we not discussed that I used to eat roast potatoes?
I think you have mentioned
so
it.
roast potatoes aren't going to cause the mess that gels do. See, you've got to choose wisely.
We speak a lot and we see a lot in the coverage of riders having their feeds and doing it at 40 to 60 Ks an hour, doing it masterfully. So I understand that there's going to be a bit of spillage. But I also think surely you get on with it to an extent, because it's like if it's not actually impeding or it's landed on the brake or something, that's going to actually cause you a drama. I'm sorry. And I'm saying, I'm a bit of a germaphobe. I'm saying this, maybe there's just a little bit of a...
I think it bugs you. I think you're so in the zone when you're racing and little things bug you.
Okay.
And you have a lot of time to focus on said little things.
Okay.
So I say kudos to him. Because, it's all about calm and peace and happy out there, Joel.
It sure is.
I mean, they all looked, frankly, bloody miserable.
Absolutely miserable. Hey, it's lovely to be here on this beautiful day. It's as we say, the weather's getting better, but stage 5, they looked absolutely horrendously sad. We love a good turn of phrase here on the Wheelhouse podcast. I want to talk about some wording around this marvellous, magical Grand Tour taglines, jersey descriptions. Now, you've stumbled onto this. And I've just been chuckling. So I'm going to throw to you, Katarina Barthez.
I like a good road book or UCI rule manual.
Sure do.
Deep dive. It's my thing. It's my jam. I love going into the details and taking a look at it. And I opened the road book for the Giro, and I was just flicking through, and it's all in Italian and in English as well. I thought it might be Italian, French and English, but just Italian and English. And I'll also say I've noticed on the coverage that a lot of the translations in English for the descriptions
are hilarious.
Well, they're quite funny. I mean, they're quite colourful, and I feel as though a marketing agency has put a lot of love and care into it. But I stumbled on the jersey descriptions, and I have to read these out because I cannot stop laughing at this one. All right, the Maglia Azzurra, King of the Mountains.
Love it.
Unsurprisingly, the best climber's jersey is as blue as the sky. Because when you're pushing to the KOM and you feel that strength is failing, the blue sky above becomes your guiding light, your aim, the goal that keeps you going, and a patch of sky will be the reward.
Oh, wow. I'm sure that's what they're all thinking when they go up some of those climbs.
Ready for this one? The Maglia Bianca, which is the young riders. The jersey for the best young rider is white. Just like the sum of all colours, it holds all hopes and dreams. It is at once a prize and a wish, a blank page for a new, exciting chapter to be written.
Oh, okay. I don't completely hate that. The sum of all colours.
Sum of all colours. I'm sorry,
sure.
But anybody with a paint palette and small children or an inclination knows that if you combine all the colours, it's like a poo brown. It is not white.
Wow.
So it is not the sum of... So
do you want to go to the UCI and pitch a poo brown jersey? Because I'd love to see how that...
All right, now the Maglia Ciclamino, which is, the points. Right. This jersey is usually a sprinter's thing. Flashing as a powerful sprint, yet as gentle as hope, it bears the colour of a fall-blooming flower. It represents the determination and grit it takes to be at the front every time, at each intermediate sprint, at each bunch sprint, to and through the final stage.
I like that one.
It bears the colour of a fall-blooming flower. Okay. Yeah, all right, now this is our final one, the Maglia Rossa, of course.
Oh, we end on the big one.
Yes, all right. It's been the leader's jersey since 1931. A world icon, a page made of pink fabric, where the history of cycling has been written over the last 90 years. It's the dream of every child who starts riding a bicycle. It's the dream of every rider taking to the start of the Giro D'Italia every year.
You know what I was picturing?
Very aspirational.
I know he's not, but I was picturing Jonas's AI reading that. just to complete that obscure picture.
It is so beautiful. Like, these descriptions, they're hilarious, but they're fantastic. And the overall catchphrase of the whole Giro this year is also beautiful. Amore infinito, which is endless love.
Oh, beautiful.
It's very romantic.
And again, exactly what every rider is feeling when they're riding up those hills in that
contrasted to the faces we saw out there.
Endless love, Mercy.
I don't know.
There's no mention of stray dogs or pissing rain.
It's not,
Or
there-
being fined for going in public.
yeah, or roadside. Pissing, as it may
Let us
be.
introduce the lime green jersey, which represents when you got to go, you just got to go.
Is that well? It's so the other thing I deep dived into, which I think is a more realistic depiction
Yes.
of the Giro,
Yes.
is a thing called the hot mess map.
Yeah, we have a Brisbaneite. I just any
We
chance
do.
to represent.
We do.
Brisbaneite involved in this.
Yes. Now this is she does this for every Grand Tour. Belinda McLeod, her name is.
Love it.
And essentially, she draws her version of what the Giro d'Italia looks like. And the categories include ITT, alone time, easy-ish, kind of hard, and then hard, question life choices. So I think stage 4 was categorised as uppity downity.
Fair.
I think instead of being kind of hard, it certainly needed to be a question life choices kind of day. And she's on Twitter. It's at really spoke to me. Belinda, she does a fantastic job of this. It is quite a beautiful.
Tell me about the
little
gold slinky.
map
There's a
here.
great bit saying there's a gold. What does it say? Win a prestigious
gold
gold slinky.
Well, that's of course the beautiful trophy.
Right.
A prestigious.
I haven't heard it
gold
called a slinky before.
Slinky.
I like it.
3-week all-inclusive cycling tour, support vehicles, chefs, massage, mechanics. Hashtag no refunds for withdrawals.
I was looking at some of the support vehicles getting awfully close in awfully bad weather as well. To get that perfect shot, I get it, but you get a little bit fraught. It's a bit nerve-wracking because it's like if we have a tumble here, this could turn into something that we don't want to see, obviously. And it's just
no. When I watch NRL, I find myself making involuntary noises every time a big tackle happens. Like, whoa,
yeah.
I'm feeling like that this Giro.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah. It's like a whole complement of strange noises.
Well, one of those noises is Australia, because we've seen Australians do some good things. We've seen some controversy as well. Let's now wrap up our Aussies. And are you happy to go back and mention our guy, our man, our myth, our bling, getting out early, claiming a stage?
Bling, bling.
I loved it. There was an interview after it. He took the stage. He did it beautifully, and they got the press pack was there, and whoever was doing it didn't hold the microphone close enough. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but he seemed happy. And that was awesome.
Yes.
He seemed delighted with his 10th stage win.
He did. If you really ramp the volume up, you can hear him. He
Yeah, it was great.
It brings us our 10th Grand Tour stage victory from the one Michael Bling Matthews. But this one, it hit a bit harder for him. He says that in the weeks before, that he had been considering retirement, that he'd been talking to the team and actively considering stepping away from this beautiful sport. So, you know, that's a big mental load to carry.
We seem to hit this theme a lot. Is this just at this era because of the world and because of the pandemic and everything, the world and perspective changing? But we seem to be talk quite often about on the cusp of retirement, not retiring, doing something awesome. That seems to be a bit of a theme.
I think every athlete has a number of times where they seriously consider retirement.
Such as during the Giro.
Yeah, approximately 150 of the athletes in some of these recent stages. But you do, and all jokes aside, sometimes you think about that out on the bike.
Of course.
And sometimes you think about it when you get back. And, you know, Belinda McLeod puts it perfectly, questioning life choices. You do. You think, is it worth it? Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And I think that he's been so public about it is an interesting thing. If he had not have had this victory, I don't think we'd be hearing about it because he hasn't said it until now.
Merksy.
Fun fact, Bling's won 3 Giro stages, 3 in the Vuelta and 4 at the Tour.
What a master.
Impressive.
That's very
Most
impressive.
impressive. There's a chance for a Darth Vader line there. Couldn't resist. It is a great, really, really great performance, but I loved the way they spoke about it afterwards. It was a great team push to get him there and give him that opportunity. And he said it. It was like he was a rugby league player or any other sport. He said, that one, That was for the boys.
That was
That was
that was for the boys. Well, hey, hold on. Intermission.
Yeah.
We're doing really well on the tipping competition.
I know! I'm so excited.
Look, we've done a Remco. We started fast and hard and we got the pink jersey. We're currently sitting in third. So we've dropped a little down the GC. Intentional. I love Remco, right?
Did you like my quote the other day?
I did. I
doing
thought
it for the lads and whatnot.
Beautiful.
Yeah. We had some questions, I believe, on social media saying, did I really pick that team? Not going to answer them. We'll just continue winning and let the results speak for themselves on the Wheelhouse podcast.
Well, I have a personal entry in the Eight Nations Giro.
Yeah.
It's not doing so well.
Oh, you know what?
Yet. I have a lot of climbers in there. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
The fifth cousin of our PM, he was one of my smokies, Vincenzo Albanese,
he's
of
top
course.
10 now, and
doing
he's
all
had
right.
2 fourths, one on a climbing day, which, given he was also fourth on a sprint day.
Doing all right.
Oh, look, little Italian battler. I am a big Albo fan.
I love Albo. I love he's got tenacity, and I saw it again. Slightly, he was up there in that breakaway.
But can he DJ?
We'll have to invite him to a wedding and find out. He was up there, the breakaway, massive gap, and they were pushing ahead. There was this time where it's like, he's looking buggered, he's going to crack, he's done. No. Reinvented himself, came through, as you say, top 10. Smoky. I want to quickly, we're going to go back to the Aussies, but Primoz Roglic. Now, we were, our mate Kino was chatting. He's sitting back, he's biding his time, he's got a wonderful opportunity here. I'm so fascinated by this. It's like you can spend the first 4, 5, 6 stages of a Grand Tour doing nothing, just finishing, getting not getting too horrendously far behind, and then still make a genuine assault. Like he's not, no one's saying he's no longer among the favourites by any stretch. What have you seen from Sticky Tape Man that has you thinking that his name on this box is justified?
All good questions.
Thank you. There was a string of them.
Mr. Sprebuja.
Can you answer them in reverse order for me, please?
I'm going to summarise by saying I haven't seen much, which is great.
Yeah.
Because he has had a crash. He crashed yesterday with 7K to go, but got back on. No big struggles. Geraint Thomas went down at the same time as well, but they did a good job of Jumbo and Ineos of getting them back on. I think the less of him that we see in the first week to week and a half, the better he will be going. He looks good.
Yep.
He looks solid. There's been plenty of opportunities, touch pizza box, for him to go down, and he hasn't. So he's riding with confidence and calm. And I will say that Remco does not seem himself. He has been a little bit cranky pants in interviews, very short, even before stage 4, when he was still wearing the Maglia Rossa. He almost was a bit rude to the reporter, asking questions, and they were trying to have a bit of fun with him because I think traditionally he's been a bit of fun to interview. Yeah. No, not at the moment.
Can attest.
And then he, had a shocker the next day with a couple of falls, and it's kind of being widely spoken about that it was his own fault, the second fall he had, that he looked around and wasn't looking where he was going and ran into single dam and down he came. So I actually think that that's what we were expecting from Roglic, to have these little whoopsies, because he is the man held together by sticky tape. But bit of role reversal. So I'm pretty happy with how Primoz is going. I stand by my pizza box.
And you were speaking before about the lack of ego that we're seeing from some rising stars in the sport as well. I thought that this is a lack of ego from him to an extent. That sort of content to sort of time your run, pace yourself out. Whereas Remco's like, I'm wearing pink shoes. Watch me burst out of the blocks. And all of a sudden, you're putting all this pressure on yourself, and the conditions and circumstances aren't necessarily going your way.
No, and interestingly, like one of the riders, because Jan Tratnik from Jumbo-Visma hurt his knee just before the opening stage, underwent knee surgery, the poor bugger, but he seems in good spirits.
Ouch.
Recruited very last minute Thomas Gloag, very young rider from the UK, and people spoke about him as though, well, how's he going to go, like last minute call up. But actually, if you look at his history, he's an exceptionally good climber, and I think that he will be a very good lieutenant for Roglic, even if it's only in the first half of big mountain stages.
All right.
And, he's a young man who really has his head on his shoulders. So instead of looking at him as a bit of a, wasted spot that won't be able to contribute, I actually think that by the end we might see quite a strategic involvement from him. And fun fact, he's a mathematician.
Oh, my goodness.
And he was studying a mathematics degree now. He's put it... he's deferred for the moment because he's found that World Tour racing, he just needs to kind of learn how it all goes and then he'll pick it back up. But I say that because he's a smart kid and he's very analytical in the way that he approaches races, and he's a very good climber. I just think that he's going to end up being one of the kind of secret weapons.
I love
put it
that.
Out there.
Is it box worthy?
Yeah, I'm going to put Globe
so
on as...
do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Secret weapon.
Kate has beautiful handwriting and take all the time you need to make it pop. I want to talk about Kaden Groves, back to the Australians, because not without controversy, he came into this Grand Tour with some pretty grand expectations as that Aussie who he's earmark something for him, do it. And it was very early on, obviously, big old crash. And it's like, I guess, someone drops a coffee, for example. There you go, coffee drop in the office. And the boss comes out. The boss comes out in front of all the staff and points the finger and says, that was your fault. That's essentially what happened in stage 2. Big crash. No less than Remco coming out and saying, yeah, Kaden, that was on you, pal.
That was on you. Well, gosh.
I like how Kaden handled it, though.
Up and down tour so far from Kaden, because he's taken out a stage win, which is massive.
Huge.
For him.
Mercy.
Do you know what state he's from?
Queenslander.
Correct, Amondo.
He's a Queenslander.
Just visualise the pink tablecloth as
he's
a
one of
hearty
us.
shade of Queensland maroon for this conversation. It absolutely is.
But he's an exciting sprinter, up and coming. He's still pretty young, and I think the Aussies knew what potential he had, especially when he was riding with Jaco Alula. But he went his own way when he joined Alpecin, and they're giving him a lot of support and a lot of confidence. His sprint win, I would say, was strategically perfect. It was quite windy on the coast. He rode a very good line in the sprint to protect himself from that. He knows how to ride a bike. He knows how to handle a bike. The reason Remco blamed him, and he did, he squarely blamed him, named and shamed him.
Didn't he?
For the crash on one of the earlier stages, is because in the footage, he takes his hand off the bars and moves Ballerini from Soudal.
Yep.
Quickstep. Geez, the names of these teams change so often. What do the fans do? He pushed him out of the way.
Yep.
Taking your hand off the bars in the middle of a sprint is a big, big no-no.
Yep.
And so regardless of any of the other factors that played into it, because he took his hand off, now Kaden, in fairness, he said Ballerini was pushing me into the barriers. And all he could do to not get really pushed backwards, which would also be quite dangerous, is to move out of the way a little bit.
Was it his fault?
But I don't think it was his fault. I think that a few different factors played into it. But ultimately, they're not shy in disqualifying riders or regulating riders. Alberto Danesi was disqualified on stage 5, or not disqualified, relegated out of the sprint for what they said was a dangerous move that wasn't really, right? So they're not shy in apportioning blame where they see any, but he didn't get fined, he didn't get relegated.
Sometimes it's circumstances, sometimes, that happens. And the great irony of the sport is Kaden obviously standing up to that one. And then, I'm not going to say the beneficiary because it was a great team effort once again, as you say, but a line crash of epic proportions, stage 5, including no less than the Manx missile sliding over the line in some hectic, very, very hectic scenes.
It is. Yes, where we are sitting, it is not hectic. It is beautiful. The end of stage 5.
Wow.
I mean, fantastic photo, might I say, from the photo finish camera of Mark Cavendish literally sliding across the line with his arm out.
Yeah, wow.
It's just incredible.
That's extraordinary.
It doesn't look comfortable for him. He was almost like a bug on his back.
That anguish face, just that mid like. I liked how he came out after though. He was. We've seen Cav get a little bit hot under the collar and a little bit. It's not fair, poor me. He was just like, look, I hope everyone's okay. That sucked, but it happens. It's
it was
fine.
just so slippery,
Yeah.
and they were the conditions. But I just coming into the Giro, there are a lot of people who said, "Oh, you wait, Cav will do something special." I just don't see it happening, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't. Ooh. I think he wouldn't have fallen if he was in a better position, if he was further up, if he was more competitive, because that was part of the desperation is why he lost traction with his wheel. So,
not his tour, or is he? Are we? Is it the classic we've seen?
Look, he's a legend of the sport, so I'm not going to do that to him and say that. But I don't think we'll see a lot of him at the Giro.
Is it worth writing it on the pizza box?
I don't
just
think
in
so.
case?
No, because you know what? I respect him too much to put the hex on him on the pizza box.
All right. Because I'm just saying, like, if you wrote it on and then he did something good, that'd be a great moment for me. But
I shall not do that.
Not going to happen.
Nope.
That's all right. Look, Aussie Sprinters doing the business, which is good. A lot of people putting in the time to watch it in Australia. Congratulations to Kaden and Bling, and Kaden's stage coming. We've still got big hopes, of course, for a stage slam coming up in the Giro a bit later. People in the Southern Hemisphere, Australia, New Zealand, loving every minute of it. US, UK, the Arctic Circle. Wait a minute. The Arctic Circle? Why are they so interested in the Giro, Kate Bates?
I know. It's all happening in the Arctic Circle.
Yeah.
They are up on their feet.
Right?
And that is because the Arctic Circle has its first ever Grand Tour leaders jersey.
Salud.
Here's cheers
Salud.
with my half-filled
Yeah,
spilt coffee.
where'd all your coffee go?
Down my pants, Joel. Yes, we've got Andreas Leknusand.
Who is Andreas Leknusand? He
You
said in a
ask.
completely unscripted moment.
Well, he's the first rider from inside the Arctic Circle to wear the Grand Tour leaders jersey. He's the second Norwegian to wear the Maglia Rosa.
Mm-hmm.
42 years ago was the first time, and that was by a rider, great name, Knut Knudsen is how I'm going to say it.
Knudsen? Okay, yeah.
And he was a world and Olympic individual pursuit champion.
Okay.
Absolute legend. Won 6 stages of the Giro and wore the Maglia Rosa in 2 editions. So they've got a little bit of heritage up there. But I'm telling you that Leknusand is from full Viking territory. Right?
Wow.
He's from a place called Tromlå. That's how I'm going to say it.
Okay.
Tromsø. And here's a fun fact for you, Joel. I love my fun facts. It's known as the Paris of the North.
Beautiful.
Yes.
We spoke at the start of the year ahead of the Tour Down Under and whatnot of like, gee, I tell you what, these riders coming over and training in Australia, that's unenviable. It's very hot. I want to ask the same question in reverse. How do you train in that part of the world in winter? How do you do that?
Norway is actually, this part of Norway is very well known for the beautiful summer rides.
Right.
And it's got quite a strong cycling culture.
Okay.
And I understand that the local cycling club in Tromsø, they actually curate some winter riding tracks down by the water so that people can ride their bikes in winter. But they do need... you can imagine how many layers they've got on, including like proper wool layers. But they also put like spikes on their tyres, on their mountain bikes. They don't ride road bikes. So spikes.
Spikes on bikes.
Spikes on bikes. Well,
okay.
one of the female Norwegian riders has previously said that she finds it like a secret weapon because once she then gets on the road bike, she feels like she's going so fast. Because you can imagine how hard it would feel to ride in snow with spikes on a mountain bike. So he has said that he doesn't live there anymore. He now lives in Andorra.
I packed up my spikes and I got out of there.
But he loves riding in the Norwegian winters. So he goes back every winter to make sure he gets some family time and some time on the winter bike. So that's quite cool.
Fabulous context on thriving in some of the conditions we've seen. Because as we say, absolute misery and despair.
Yes. Well,
he's
23, but he turns 24 on the 21st.
Oh, we'll send him a cake.
Of May.
We'll send him a cake.
So I'm going to look up what stage is on the 21st.
Okay.
But, will it be a happy day for him, a happy birthday.
All happening in the Giro, and it's been fascinating. We'll continue to bring you the good, the bad, the ugly, and the downright quirky on the Wheelhouse podcast. But I just want to make a little bit of a interstellar segue here, because you know I love my Star Wars.
Oh,
love it.
I think I and our audience well know you like your Star Wars.
Love it sick, Kate Bates. Love it sick. Now, I've always been a fan of Star Trek, and William Shatner, of course, the original Captain James T. Kirk, who doesn't do Star Trek anymore, just pops up doing gigs here, there, and everywhere. What does William Shatner, Mars, the Australian outback town, opal capital of Coober Pedy, and Lance Armstrong have in common, Kate Bates?
I would think not a lot.
Let's throw to William Shatner and find out.
We're in the middle of the Australian desert, Coober Pedy. I was there years and years ago, and that's where they mine opals.
Right, didn't really tell us. Thanks so much, Shatner. The rest, what he's talking. It's like, why did you make it about you, William? For God's sake, we just want to know. Stars on Mars. Now, it's this reality TV program. If you don't know where Coober Pedy is, look it up. It's an extremely remote location, opal mining capital, as we say. They've set it up because of the red Earth, basically. The red dusty outback kind of looks like Mars. Lance Armstrong is taking part in this series called Stars on Mars. William Shatner is mission control. Let's have a look at this Lance Armstrong, if you have a chance to check it out, in his spacesuit. And I love it because it's got Lance on it, and that could be some sort of anagram for logistical, aeronautical, something spacey thing, whatever.
That was
what I want to talk about is Lance Armstrong. This is, like, with all respect to Lance, this is the guy that used to get choppered in and out of his mountaintop chalet to do stages. We were speaking about him in beautiful Mallorca, having a lovely party there. With all respect to Coober Pedy, lovely spot. It's not the chalet.
It's not.
This is huge.
Look, I'm not sure that it is necessarily the luxury that he's used to.
No.
He also is on Mars. Let's inverted commas, Mars with the likes of Ronda Rousey. And I don't know if you're familiar with Ronda Rousey.
Oh, Ronda,
She's
yeah,
a bit
absolutely.
of a badass.
UFC
she would
queen.
Kick his butt in a heartbeat.
Merxy.
I found a little promo. Let me play.
Okay.
Attention, Earthlings. We heard that you are finally sending people to Mars. This is not who we were expecting.
That's all.
You sure that wasn't you just inhaling a helium balloon and then going, hello everyone, I'm
So
Merxy.
it's a high budget production. They've got helium balloons.
They've
and
got
everything.
helium, and Shatner says they got to survive with no Wi-Fi, no oat milk, no personal assistance.
No oat milk.
They're basically getting a series of space-themed tasks. Think of Survivor, but it's set in like a Mars commune. Have a check. The photos, there's exclusive pictures. They're not taken by us, taken by a major commercial network. Shout out, thank you. Of the setup in Coober Pedy. We did everything we could to get a live chat with Coober Pedy, but I've got the response here. I can say, please stop bothering us. We don't want to talk to you. So that's not going to happen today. That's all right.
It's Merxy was on the job here. Merxy, could you just talk us through the process of trying to get a local on the phone?
I tried to get the mayor to talk up the town. That's what we do normally.
Yeah.
The government fired the mayor and the whole council for misconduct.
Okay, all right.
So then I thought, well, we'll call the pub because the publican normally talks about the town.
Is the mayor in lieu of mayor? Yeah.
The people's man.
The pub burnt down. So
The pub bird.
What is Lance going to do? Like, he can't even have a schnitty.
He can't even sneak out. I mean, I'm quite concerned if they don't have their oat milk. I mean, if there's some lactose intolerance amongst the group, like, I hope that it doesn't become like more nature break talk.
I don't love reality
I don't
TV
know.
as a rule. I'm much more for scripted, original, creative content. But I would watch.
I would like
Lance
to see
deteriorate.
if
over this.
I mean, if we could choose, I would like to see Lance on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, because I'm very curious as to what would happen. I don't think he could come across. He could better the incredible Liz Ellis.
Merxy.
I just want to add that lady at the council chambers said to me, and I quote, "He wouldn't want to ride his bike out here. It's drier than a dead dingo's donger." So There you go.
What a description.
What, do you want to repeat that for us, Joe? I'm not.
Drier than a dead dingo's donga is the expression, Katarina Bartes. It's probably not familiar. Anyone heard the expression drier than a dead... Sorry, no.
Let's not translate that into Italian.
But look, they're sleeping, eating, strategizing, bonding with each other in this mock space station. Check out the pictures.
It's not Love Island.
They'll be faced... I love this line. They'll be faced with authentic conditions that simulate life on Mars. How do we do that? Who's ever lived on Mars? Oh, that's right. Sorry, Matt Damon. My bad. Sorry.
Hold on. Didn't he die?
Kate?
Didn't he?
You can't kill off Matt Damon.
I don't think. No, I mean, I don't think I watched to the end of that movie. Did he get home?
He made it back with a slingshot maneuver. It was very, very tense.
Did he really?
He did, and he got back and went on to tell the tale. Became an academic, boring sort of ending.
All right. Well, Godspeed to Lance and Rhonda.
Yeah, brains, brawn, social skills. They do missions. They vote. What a fresh concept. I've never heard of this to Survivor before. But look, Lance Armstrong, welcome to Australia, sir. Cheekily, who's filling in on your podcast while you're...
We've put in an application for you, Mr. Spreadbush.
Yeah, double.
You and Georgie.
You're coming.
Yeah, am I?
Oh, well,
really?
Please.
I don't know. I was thinking.
So no, I'll be too busy trying to clean the coffee out of my dress.
Just quietly, I reckon that there's a number of riders, Giro riders, who'd be putting their hands up to go to Mars right now. So.
It'd be preferable.
Yeah.
Salute you, Godspeed, William Shatner, love you, Lance Armstrong, all the very best with it. Wheelhouse Podcast live from beautiful Milano as the Giro continues into the second week. Kate Bates will be back. We'll be doing it again. I'm having a beautiful time in Italy.
Bella.
Bellissimo.
I am too. Prego.
Like, share, subscribe, tell everyone you know. It's Australia's freshest cycling podcast. There you go. I said the tagline. I'm so happy about that.
Come and join us on our Italian adventure.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Arrivederci! Fabio Castellanata! I'm just shouting out football players' names now. Is that okay?
Yeah. Ronaldo!
He's not Italian.
Sam Kerr!
Sam Kerr! There you go.
Don't you dare take her.
She's ours.